After 10 years of being in the screen print and embroidery business, I've made almost every mistake in the book, and it's almost cost me a bunch of money. And here are the 6 mistakes that I've made so that you don't have to learn the hard way. Mistake number one is not having a system in place for anything. About, let's say, in March, we started working with a mentor who is a guru in the industry, and he is very well established in screen printing and embroidery, and he's just a celebrity in the space. And some of the things that he had told us that we were doing wrong that we didn't realize was is we didn't have a system in place to be able to get things dialed in when it comes to production, when it comes to sales, when it comes to the pricing of jobs, those kind of things. And it's something that we were lacking in both the front and the back end. I'll give you an example. When a customer or prospect would reach out to us in the past, hey Raj, we want to get some shirts made. We have a festival coming up X days from now, and we want to be able to get some shirts. Can you kind of give me a price? So they want to be able to kind of get a price. And in the past, we would either go and look at custom ink and be able to rate our price accordingly based off of them, which is really wrong. Why would I price off of custom ink? Their cost to run their business is different to our cost. So why would I use their pricing? Because I have stuff to do on my end as well. So basically, the issue we have is just doing that. Another issue when it came to not having a system in place was not being able to have the right speed to lead. And what I mean by that is typically in any sales industry, whether you're selling shirts, whether you're selling an info product, whether you're insurance, whatever it is, you're price dropping on the spot and you want to be able to have the transaction happen there and then rather than delaying it off for a couple of days. That's typically how things had worked. We would create an order or get an order set up for somebody. And sometimes if we didn't have like the custom ink price, like we would manually just write it out by hand. Screen setup costs this, labor costs this, shirts cost this, divide up the cost into X amount of money for every shirt, and that's how it would be. And that sacrificed a lot of time to be able to make things more efficient and to be able to let the salesperson do their job rather than focusing on the math. So, to overcome this problem, after getting advice from working with our mentor, he was able to get us dialed in with a system which essentially it shows the production of every sale, it shows the sales, it shows the quotes, it shows the production, and both people who are in the sales part of the business get access it, people who are the managers could see it, employees who are running the production, the task can see it. So it helps when it comes to having everything streamlined, if that makes sense. And that has made a huge difference when it comes to being in an embroidery and screen printing business for the past 10 years. And we've seen now all the data kind of being streamlined here because of this one system that we had. Essentially, it just helps with organization. It helps with being able to price drop on the spot so that we could get the price over to and the investment over to the prospect right there and then so we could get the ball moving on this because speed to lead is the name of the game when it comes to any type of sales industry. Another thing that the system in place helps us with is being able to see the data long term. Now, we've been using this system for the past 2+ months. It's about to be 3 months now. And it's helped us with being able to see how much cash collected we have, how many people who ordered from us in X amount of months. And we now have data to go back on. Let's say if John orders some shirts today and 3 months from now, I could go back and hit John back up to see if he needs some more reprints. And it just helps with being able to see, okay, this lead bought something, they might need to get something else, and helps with doing your outreach and just following up to be able to see there's money being left on the table and just seeing if everything is fully dialed, if that makes sense. The second mistake that I made is not saying no to difficult clients early enough. The mindset that we've had to adapt here at Herman's is that, okay, like we're in the business of trying to make money. That's we understand that's how all businesses work. And we're not trying to just make pennies on this. We want to be able to provide quality premium products rather than just competing with, let's say, a company that's online that may be cheaper. Because at the end of the day, we shouldn't be focusing on comparing to them. We should be focused on comparing to you as a screen business and what you represent. You have different things to account for versus them. So that all factors into saying no to clients early enough, because essentially a lot of people are going to be, window shopping. They're going to want to look around for a cheaper price. And the mindset that we've had to adopt and I've had to adopt is that, okay, we may not be the cheapest, but we're going to be the best choice for quality. In the past, the lesson I've learned from working with clients who want to get the cheapest quality, and you're trying to take off pennies and dollars from the job, they typically are not going to be a client that is going to return, or they are going to be a nuisance to work with, for lack of better words, because you can't really make them happy sometimes. We see ourselves as a premium brand. The services that we provide, we've been here for over 20 plus years, and I've been in this industry for 10 plus years, so I understand how it works. But the lesson I've learned from the past few people that I've done outreach to, and I've tried to, every single time I've tried bend over backwards to be able to get a job quoted up just so we could do the job for them. It's never given us a return on our investment in the past because there's always been some type of complaint, and you just realize that you can't really please everybody, and that's why it's important to have a niche, have a specific ICP or a customer that you're targeting, and that also plays into how much they're willing to invest into getting in their products, their shirts, because at the end of the day, yes, it could be shirts or hats or whatever you're doing, but what you are building, you're building more than just a physical product. You're building a brand, something that represents, that should be looked at more besides just a price tag. I think it's important to come to the realization that when it comes to saying no to clients who want to be able to just get things for really cheap, that you have to offer them the perspective like, hey, like, is is money the only thing you're looking at it, or is it also a relation? Are there other things that go into it that makes it worth more than just the price, or is price just the only thing you're looking at? And the thing that I've had to learn is that if a prospect says the price is just what they just want, then you just have to just honestly say, hey man, maybe we're not the best choice for you, and move on with it, because at the end of the day, we're in the business of making money. All of us are in the business of making money, and we're not trying to lose anything. But most importantly, we want to be able to make a brand that lasts long. So, yes, saying no to clients sometimes and early in the sales process just helps out, and just being able to sniff out if they even have the right buyer language when it comes to getting a shirt, getting some type of production done, or running a job. Mistake number three is investing in equipment before understanding your workflow and capacity. So, for a very long time here, since we started, we used to have a manual screen press. Everybody knows what a manual screen press is. They have different versions of it. It is a six head screen press, and it got the job done. And we realized that if we want to be able to go from here to here, that we needed to invest into getting some kind of automatic press, something that would be able to help us ramp up production, but also be able to get us, into those higher quantity run jobs in a shorter period of time. And the biggest lesson that we learned about this is like, okay, this equipment is not cheap whatsoever. And it's important to understand your numbers before you even start getting this equipment. And that's why it's important to also have the systems in place as well, because number one ties in with number three, this one right now, because if you don't know what your numbers are, what your labor charges are, how many shirts a printer can make in an hour, if it's justified, if you can do it on the manual versus the auto, but also the time it took for us to be able to learn the automatic print press, and to be able to realize that you're going to have to invest into getting somebody, a specific person, bare minimum, to be an expert in that. Because at the end of the day, if you are for example, me, or my father, who is in charge of the business as well, we can't be running the press but also, doing sales. So having just understanding investing in equipment, but also invest in your employees, to say you are now designated to do this, you are a professional at this. That way it saves us more time on the sales end, so we could focus more on doing the sales and doing fulfillment. And we understand that we've invested the time and the money into getting our workers and our employees trained up to do both the manual and automatic press, and even embroidery as well. Number four is not building relationships with reliable suppliers. When it comes to our screen printing department and embroidery department, we typically work with one big vendor, but just understanding that it's really important to pick your supplier, because a lot of the goods that you're going to be printing, you want to be able to have a good relationship with them, to understand that the materials that you are getting is coming from a vetted person who has been, or a vetted company who has been in the industry for a long time, rather than getting some cheap and not going to represent your brand well. And the same thing applies for our embroidery as well. Even in that department as well, just working with the supplier and understanding that going through different samples, it makes a huge difference long term, because once you dial in which manufacturer is on par with the quality of shirts and apparel that you want to press on and embroider on, it's going to help your brand have a more impactful, long lasting stance in your industry. Number five is ignoring your gut on a job or a client and taking it anyway. So, one of the biggest issues that I'm guilty of when we first started is that when we first started and a client would come in, we would just, and they wanted to get a job done, we would just say, yes, we could do it. No matter what logistically had to be done, we would just do it just to see if we could just get the cash in for that, which it's understandable considering that we were just starting off in the industry. But understanding the process of how these garments are made and the labor it requires to get these jobs set up plays a huge role in if you're going to accept it or not. Because if the person wants to get some crazy colorful job that's screen printed that needs 8 screens on it, you already know the setup cost is going to be in the 3 digits just for the setup costs. And it makes no sense to go and do mock-ups and to do all of these things if you don't even get some kind of commitment on their end, whether it's financially or verbally, typically financially, to be able to get the job running. So just understanding that if the job, it's not going to be doable, if it's not within their budget, once you've kind of like triaged and set them and kind of tested the water to see if it's even doable, sometimes it's okay to just say no, you can't do it, and bite the bullet. Because it makes no sense to you know do a job that is for 5 shirts that is 8 colors, because the setup time is going to take a long time, and it's going to be expensive to purchase those shirts if it's just a 5 color, right? And this also factors into having the right systems in place as well, because mentor, we realize that we don't want to have anything bare minimum less than 24 quantity for a setup, because there's setup time, there's labor to get this job done, so many things that go into this, like pre-production for a play to get this job done. So just being able to say no to some jobs that is not doable has been a huge benefit for us and helps us save us time, so we can reallocate time into things like such as our sales. We could reinvest time into our marketing, our content creation, and rather than just sitting there and doing mock-ups for somebody who does not have the purchase intentions in the long run. Number six is not documenting the process. Over these past 2 months, I've started documenting, the process behind the scenes, kind of the sales process, manufacturing process. And when I get a new customer that comes in, it's really helped with being able to get them priced up on the job, but also send them a video of us doing stuff behind the scenes so they could understand how we operate as a business, so they could put a face to them. Because there are hundreds of other screen printers out there who may have a way to do their thing. They might just send a quote and that's it. But the lesson I learned from being in the info space that nurturing your clients is extremely important. And the smallest thing, like an Instagram video of a reel, or something like a longer format content from YouTube of you demonstrating that you have an expertise in this field, helps and goes a long way when it comes to building that trust between you as the business and also the person who's buying. Then once they see you doing the work, they're able to trust you more. It helps show a bigger picture of where you started to where you're going to be at, and overall just helps with allowing them to come to the call pretty much with their card in hand. And I mean this in the best way possible, because at the end of the day, this shouldn't be like an uphill battle. It should just be like a rock falling down a hill. And once they've seen all the content, they understand that we have the systems in place and everything has been a smooth process. Overall, just documenting the process a lot earlier, about a year ago, would have made a huge difference for me. And that's why I picked up the camera. But being able to document everything to show where you started to where you're at helps, and showing yourself as the person who is in the industry and expert in the industry really helps when it comes to new prospects and new people wanting to come and get some stuff done and new apparel done with you so they could see how stuff looks behind the scenes. But those are pretty much the six mistakes that I've made so far being in this industry for the past 10 years. Obviously, there's so many other mistakes that could be made and there's so many other lessons to be still learned. This is not a you learn all your lessons and that's it. You're still learning every single day. I'm still learning every single day as well. And it's only going to be uphill from here. And I think you can never stop learning. So, like I said, this is the six mistakes that I made, and hopefully you learn something from this and implement from.